Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. It's 9:30, and it's time to go behind the hedges. I'm your host Mitch, and this here is Matt, and we're here to talk to you about some Georgia Bulldogs football news. So Matt, I guess we need to start with the really obvious, you know,
Hmm?
what's the obvious thing that's on everybody's mind, which is that let's be honest, Georgia didn't. Maybe Georgia doesn't belong at the top. Maybe Georgia doesn't.
Well, brother, hold on. Uh, we ain't got nothing to talk about. You don't need to listen to us. You can just listen to everybody else. If you need to hear Georgia news and how Georgia looks and what happened with Georgia this past weekend, you ain't got to come to Behind the Hedges. You can go listen to every other Alabama streaming show out there because I'm going to tell you who's talking more about Georgia now than Georgia fans and Georgia writers, and that's everybody else. Y'all some of my bitches can forget about us in your head rent free. We are in y'all's head collecting taxes.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's so good to know everybody else in college football has Georgia on their mind.
Oh man, where's
Uh,
my clip? Where's my Ray Charles clip?
yeah, I mean, it's I've been trying to check in with other streamers and other shows from different fan bases, and it's Georgia this and Georgia that. I'm like, y'all stop! You're doing my job for me. What the hell is this? Because
That's true.
they're filled with hope. They hope Georgia's going to turn the ball over 4 times for the rest of the season. They hope they only going to lose by 17 for the rest of the season. They hope Georgia struggle wins with. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure everybody's clear here. I don't want to say anything untrue. I like to have my information in front of me. Bear with me while I scroll through and pull this up for y'all. I've actually heard the word choke. Georgia choked, y'all. Georgia choked to the tune of 529 yards, 272 of them in the air, 257 yards on the ground, 37 minutes time of possession.
That's a heck of a choke job.
That's a choke. I mean, it ain't like we played some sorry ass team, won by a single point, and almost lost in the process. No. We drug these fools by their nose, and every once in a while we were like, here's the ball back. You know what? Here's the ball back again. You know what? Take it again. You're I don't know. Are you a wrestling? It seems to me like you're a pseudo wrestling fan.
No, I know. I grew up a wrestling fan,
All right.
and
Well, I'm sure we got listeners out there who are familiar with wrestling,
yeah.
particularly in the 80s and the 90s and the way things used to go. You remember a guy named Stan Hansen?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Georgia was Stan Hansen in this Kent State game. What I mean by that, if you remember, Stan Hansen didn't get over big in the States. He was bigger in Japan, but the few runs he did have in WCW, he'd come out, he would just beat the dog shit out of some jobber, go for the pin. And then as the referee counted, it'd be 1, 2, and before the 3 hit, he'd pull him back up by the hair to distribute more punishment.
Right.
Folks, don't get it twisted. That is what you saw last weekend. You saw a team that is undoubtedly the best in the country playing with its food. 3/4 of them hung over because we all know they was on the sauce. Hell, one of them got on the sauce the next night and got pulled over for DUI.
Ooh.
We've got to touch
Oh.
on that later too.
Oh.
This is just we're at the point now we can sleepwalk, play with our food, not take a game seriously, come in half intoxicated, and still whoop somebody's ass by 17, which
Yeah.
is the same amount of points we lost to Bama in the SEC championship game. It's funny that was considered a beatdown.
A blowout. Yeah.
But last week, it's a struggle win. Nah, my taxes are due, and it's time for you to pay.
So,
Now,
listen. Before we close the book on Kent State, I actually wanted to. I saw an interesting stat that I thought I might bring up with
yeah,
our
what you
people.
got?
I saw a stat that said in the past 59 games, Kent State has worn 44 different helmets.
Hmm, interesting.
That's all I got.
I know that Stetson
Hey,
Bennett
Robert, checking in.
My man, what it is, baby. I was on his show, the DGD podcast. Check him out, man. He's got good stuff, y'all. Oh,
Yeah.
we keep forgetting. Hold my thought, brain. Y'all need to subscribe. Y'all need to hit the like button. You need to set aside your Tuesday nights at what time?
9:30.
Because you ain't got nothing else to do.
Right.
It's Tuesday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got
Right.
shit to do. Be
That's right.
here. Now I lost my thought.
You said you went on Robert's show.
I did go on the show. And to piggyback on the interesting stat that you brought up, in the Kent State game, Stetson Bennett tied little Timmy Tebow as the only quarterback in college football history to have 4 consecutive games of 250 yards plus in the air, plus a running touchdown. So if he does that again, Stetson will become the first ever to do it 5 times.
Wow. Interesting stat.
That's not your petty factoid, but that is just a fact for you. Well, whoa, man, there's a Tennessee boy in the chat. Welcome. They are flying high, and good on them, man. Good on Tennessee.
Should we say something about them?
Yeah,
we spent a whole show talking about them in Florida last week.
Congratulations. I mean, what else you want to say? I mean,
I have some things that I would like to say.
All right, go ahead and get
welcome to the top 10. It looks like Hendon Hooker is getting as much love as Stetson Bennett in Heisman voting, or at least Heisman betting. They're both of them are plus 2,000 right now. I think tied for 4th best odds, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. They're 16 to 1. It's something I saw.
I had them I saw them at 20 to 1. But anyhow, whatever. Good on Hendon Hooker. Getting a big win against Florida, who has owned Tennessee. So
brought a lot of suffering. Now, that being said, I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention that up until the last 15 seconds, Tennessee, the game was still up for grabs. So congratulations and enjoy it, and you should enjoy it. But let's not forget, y'all ain't going to be able to give up over 400 yards in the air to Georgia, Alabama, or any of these other teams, okay? Because
why not? They gave up 450 yards to the worst quarterback in the conference.
It worked against Florida. That's where Florida is now. But y'all gonna have to take a look at that defense. Is all I'm saying. You'll have to take a look at that defense because
it needs a tune-up.
I ain't so sure that y'all can get off the field when you need to at this point in time. Now, that being said, we did spend last week talking about that game because we didn't have a whole lot to talk about with our games. Still really don't because everyone else is doing it for us. We'll just let that ride. There are some things to talk about this week, though. Now, you might say, well, what are you going to say about Missouri, man? They're terrible. Well, there's a couple of things to say. Before we get to that, though, I do think we need to bring up some good recruiting news. Dog fans, in case you missed it, Mr. Tyler Williams from Lakeland, the Dreadnoughts, as they are called, committed to UGA, 4-star receiver, bumps us up in the composite team rankings to number 2 behind Alabama. We kicked Texas back. So some much needed good news on the recruiting front. Because to be honest, man, offensively, this recruiting class, if you're keeping up with it, folks,
it is not an offensive class, that's for sure.
But this kid's a good pickup. So some good news for the Dogs. What do you want to say about Missouri?
A couple things. First of all, if you're not following us on Facebook, you need to go to the Field of Streams Facebook page and go ahead and give that a follow. And you can see me post these stories. I put them out there as often as I can. But a couple of the stories that I've been looking at from Missouri's side of the ball is number one about Luther Burden. There's a question about Luther Burden.
Oh, yes, Mr. Burden.
So Mr. Burden was a very highly coveted Georgia target last year, and Mizzou won that fight, and he stayed close. He's from St. Louis, right?
He's St. Louis, yes.
Yeah, he's staying home. By before I get on, let me say something here. Preston, hey man, a lot of hurricane is heading towards our people back home. So you guys stay safe down there and um, uh, find a place to go. Listen, I heard that Murfreesboro, Tennessee, home of Middle Tennessee State University, is completely immune to hurricanes. So you can just go and head up there. And if you don't believe me, ask Miami. So so
Ooh. Oh,
anywho, Luther Burden was a highly coveted Georgia target last season, and well, he got away, right? So he decided to go to Missouri, and for some reason, like, he did not get a single catch. He's their number three statistical receiver, and he didn't get a single catch in the game versus Auburn that they lost by.
why not?
Let me check my notes. 3 points. They lost by 3 points to Auburn, and if you saw the end of that game too, you know they lost it 3 times in the last about minute of the game. So Robert says also we need to take a moment to pray for Miami. yeah, no kidding. Anyhow, Burden didn't get a single target, and according to one article that I was reading, Coach Drinkwitz has said that the reason that Burden didn't get targeted is because he was just put on punt return duty. He got hurt. Something happened to him in the game or whatever. But he is not expected to play against Georgia this week. And to be quite frankly, Mizzou needs all hands on deck, and they ain't got it. So the other thing was back to what I just mentioned about the way they lost the game to Auburn last week at Jordan-Hare, by the way, Voodoo Palace, right?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And it was the Arkansas TAMU game all over again. Mizzou had them splayed out on the sacrificial altar, ready to plunge the knife into their chest, and the thicker kicker just shanked it. So they go to overtime, and
he's a good kicker too.
Yeah.
He don't miss a lot.
Yeah, and Auburn, in overtime, Auburn lines up to kick a field goal, and they miss it. But wait a second, there's a flag on the play. They get a second shot, and then they hit this one. So now Auburn takes a 3-point lead, but Missouri gets the ball. And what do? They run a sweep around the left side, and their leading rusher, Nate Pete, he's heading up the sidelines, and he gets to the end zone. It's a clear touchdown, and he drops the ball.
Drops the damn ball.
Drops it into the end zone and fumbles it away. And so for the third time, Missouri lost one game for the third time. And to Auburn, of all people. Good Lord. We say it over and over. You go to Jordan-Hare, weird things happen. It's just like
I don't know what to tell you. It's happened to us. It's happened to the Gumps. It's happened to lots of people. Just that, like you want to talk about Death Valley and Baton Rouge and Voodoo? Nah. Go to the Plains. That's where they're gonna put the roots on you.
Yeah. Robert says without Burden, it's a shutout, and literally handed Auburn the game. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they gave it to them. So Auburn did not win that game any more than Texas A&M beat Arkansas. But
well,
there we go.
I see a return to form, man. I think it's a shutout, 7 max, and that might be in garbage time. And that, if our kids haven't learned by now that when you take the field as a fourth stringer in the end of the fourth quarter, you're now a starter. I mean, I think Georgia's going to roll into Columbia and do whatever they want. We got 2 guys now generating Heisman buzz. Bennett was already there. Now all of a sudden Bowers. Got to. I mean, is that crazy talk? I mean, is it fair to say Brock Bowers, if he continues to just take over games, shouldn't be in that conversation?
Bowers is starting to enter that dimension that a lot of players don't go, right?
Hey, on this topic, we got a question. I got a question. I don't think you were live. I don't remember what show I was doing, but we got a question from Florida man. Like, who are you going to lean on when your team starts to sputter? Who are you going to turn to?
Yeah, that was on SEC Biased. I remember listening to that episode.
What did I say? Do you remember what I said?
You said the tight ends. The tight ends.
I may have been wrong though. Apparently now, word around the campfire is they're not, like, Brock Bowers is listed as a tight end, but he's not being considered a tight end. He's lining up halfback. He's lining up in the X. He's lining up on the. He said, I just go where they want me to go and just do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I mean, he's got the How many? It's just so funny because Monken is very creative in the way he gets the ball. So we have passing as an extension of the run game, throwing to Kenny Mack,
Yep.
and then we have running as an extension of the pass game. Send Bowers in motion and just slip him a handoff, and he goes 75 yards. There wasn't even another player in the same zip code as him
How
when he
many
crossed
end
the goal line.
arounds has he like just gashed people on? You know it's coming.
You know the answer? All of them.
Yeah.
that's
You
the
know it's
answer.
coming.
Right.
It's we've always fantasized like, oh man, what if Georgia gets to that point where they just line up and you know what they're about to do and they just do it anyway? Well,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. You know
Yeah.
know who he is, you know what he's about. If you're a defensive coordinator, you were focused on him, and he still just
Yeah. So one thing to consider about Mizzou is that they really, really loaded the box up against Auburn last week because they knew Auburn was going to just pound it directly at them. I don't know how they will defense us this week, but I suspect they will try to do more of that, loading the box up and just force us to beat them in the air. And I just don't. It doesn't look good. If Stetson has a really good game, if he's on target next week, man, he could really torch Mizzou.
dude, they're not going to have time to go
Yeah.
out and get plastered the night before in Columbia like they did in Athens before Kent State.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. It's very much. That's one thing that's missing. 2, this is an SEC game. 3, they're listening to the chatter. And 4, and most importantly, you don't think the coaches got into some ass this week?
I was just about to bring that up.
Muschamp and Kirby got. I bet I don't want to get crass. Okay, I'm not going to get crass. But it's a distinct possibility that after this weekend's game with Kent State, Kirby and Muschamp went home, did not satisfy their wives, and satisfied themselves instead because they're like, oh, my God, the tape and the work we going to get to do. The work we going to get to put in on these boys.
I'm going to need you to stop shaking your hands like that, sir.
I'm just saying what I think happened.
Yeah.
Can you would you want to be any of these young kids in this week's practice? I sure wouldn't.
No.
And Kirby and Will Muschamp were like flagellating in the cloister, like, oh, somebody gonna bleed at practice today. I'll show you to give it up 4 times.
Sorry, Enrico. listen, buddy. The man owes me a lot of money
Missouri.
too.
I'm sorry, Missouri. You had to be the next team.
Yeah. So I did notice on Twitter a lot this week. There was a good bit of people intimating that they thought that Kirby was really, really smiling behind his coffee cup and really enjoying those Krispy Kreme donuts.
Did you watch?
Oh yeah,
There was. I'm telling you, that was a borderline crash joke I made, but it was only half a joke. Like he and Muschamp too. I'm sure they got off in their heads on what practice was going to be like this week. Because now they're in their element, right? We're going to coach you, that we're going to grind you up, grind you down, and make sure you understand that the standard is here, and you were here.
I saw a thing on, I think it was Kangaroo Black's show. Shout out Kangaroo Black. So if you hear me, buddy, you can come on our show anytime.
Kangaroo Black is the Georgia talkingest Alabama fan. He's
I love
late.
that guy.
He's late on his rent though, that he owes me from living in that head of his.
Let me say something about Kangaroo Black. He had a oh gosh, what was it? A comment the other day. I think it was his show. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I apologize. You're just getting some free pub, right? But here it is. He was saying that in 2017, when Alabama won the national title, that same season they played in the middle of the season. First third of the season they played Colorado State, who is god awful. All right. And they beat them, something like 42-20 or 41-20. Very similar score to what we just had with Kent State. And people are like, man, why is Alabama looking so pedestrian against this Rudy Poo school or whatever? And if you go and look at the rest of the schedule for Alabama, they were cutting people's heads off from that point on. And that's what Georgia was doing, and then they kind of slacked this past week. I got a feeling you're gonna see a lot of violence. You were asking for the Balrog, Matt? Yeah,
I think so too.
I think you might see it.
Well, here's another thing, man. Everybody's been complaining about Jalen Carter. Guys, Jalen Carter's hurt. He's been just struggling with an ankle injury. He's not 100%. That's that affects you a great deal as a defensive lineman. Kirby said he's looking good this week, about as good as he's looked. We're probably going to get Arian Smith back this week. Not quite as hopeful for AD yet, but not out of the picture. He's got a shot.
We won't know anything about Javon Bullard, so expect to see some contributions from
Marcus Washington.
Taki Smith is probably going to get him.
I mean, these guys are, we're not clicking on all cylinders yet, and that's a really scary thought because the narrative this week's been the Kent State game. Y'all forget about Oregon? Did you forget about Samford? Did you forget about South Carolina?
Yeah.
Any straw they can grasp at to try and build another fairy tale. But I'm telling you, it's I'm going to apologize now for what we're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on that schedule moving forward.
Nowadays, everybody want to talk.
But
to quote that great philosopher Marshall Mathers.
Yeah, I mean,
hey Matt, I got nothing else to say about Missouri, but you want to get to some picks?
Sure.
Sound good? Hey, everybody, stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. It's Mitch here with my buddy Matt, and we're going to talk about some Georgia Bulldogs, and we're going to make some college football picks just for you right after this.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work, I got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be.
Welcome, sir. Been a while.
What we got?
What we got? Well, I feel like I would be remiss if I did not mention that last week our picking records came to we picked 20 games this season, 5 a week, 4 weeks in, and your boy is at 11-9.
Oh, congratulations!
And your other boy is at 9-11.
Just win, Georgia.
Just win. That's all. Okay. Let's get to it. What do you say?
Let's do this. Kentucky at Ole
Kentucky
Miss.
goes to the Grove, where
Ole Miss is favored by 6.5.
Yeah. I want to show you something too.
Hold on. We may have to just do a show on this. What?
Yeah, they are.
Kentucky's a top 10 team, correct?
Yes.
Where's Ole Miss?
I don't know.
I'm about to tell you.
They are at home. I know that.
They are unranked. No, I'm sorry. They are 14th. So the number 14 team hosts the number 7 team that went into the swamp and won. And you're giving Ole Miss 6.5. I don't know, though. Ole Miss, though, wait a minute now. Ole Miss is quietly over there doing some stuff. They're quietly 4-0, just in case.
Look at this. I want to play this.
Okay. It's like some True Detective shit. What is this? Okay.
Yeah. So Real Tree is making the uniforms for Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is going to come out in their baby blue and white camouflage pattern this weekend. It will be interesting.
They are quietly 4-0. They
4-0.
are like pretty statistically sound right now. Ole Miss,
yes.
And it's at the Grove.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, but I mean, don't we need Kentucky to keep rolling to help ourselves look better when we beat them?
I mean, yeah, but I also think Kentucky. Here's something everybody needs to recognize: is C-Rod is back. Chris Rodriguez returns to the Big Blue Nation this week. And so both teams. So this year's Ole Miss team is a little different than past Lane Kiffin teams. They're not slinging it around nearly as much as they have been. They are. They're trying to run the ball, and they've like I said, they very quietly. Look at Mike. Hey. So Yeah, Ole Miss is playing really good defense and running the ball, which sounds like Kentucky, to be honest with you. Playing really good defense and running the ball, and they will be running the ball. So this is going to be a neat game. Um, I I I understand why Ole Miss is getting the love. They are at home. They are pretty good. Um, I ain't mad at this pick, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I am going to ride the Kentucky hype train, and if somebody's willing to give me 6.5 points to take Kentucky, I'm taking them.
How'd Kentucky look against Northern Illinois? Since the theme of the week is how badly did you beat your opponent, let's be fair. Let's be consistent. Let's spread that to everybody. How did Kentucky do against Northern Illinois?
It was a close game, and I know that it was tied relatively late in the game, and Kentucky threw to be honest, a beautiful pass that they scored a touchdown on, and that wound up winning it. What's it? Is his name Takirion Robinson? Am I messing his name up? The receiver. I'm banging the Dane Key drum early this year, and Dane Key's still doing all right. But that Robinson kid has come on as a threat for them. And considering they haven't been able to run the ball as effectively with Cavassier Smoke being their sole back, I think that bringing in Chris Rodriguez is going to take the pressure off Levis, and this Kentucky offense is going to start to click a little bit. I'm eager to see it happen. That's it.
Sold. I'll take Kentucky in the points.
Kentucky in the points, says Matt. All right, cool. All right. Here we go. I'm going to let you talk about this one first. You had a lot to say about this earlier.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Whatever the tradition is that Arkansas people do, I will do it.
Woo pig.
Whatever it is. Give it to me. Send me an email. Dargan's our resident Field of Streams Arkansas guy. Give me whatever it is y'all do when you win, and I will do it live on the air if y'all pull this off. Mm-hmm. It's in Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas is coming off a tough heartbreaker, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do they have enough? Is this the team? Are they tough enough? Are they big enough? Are they strong enough? Are they fast enough? Is Sam Pittman savvy enough? Can they outcoach, outplay? Can they outlast the Alabama Crimson Tide, who, if you listen to their fans, should be ranked number 1?
Let me ask you a question, Matt. Let me ask you a question. What did Alabama do last week?
Well, they got a hold of Vanderbilt.
What was the phrase that is it Matt Mitchell? Matt Mitchell says joyless murder ball. Was that it? They did joyless murder ball. Mm-hmm.
Joyless murder ball. That's right.
Uh-huh. So we know where Alabama's head is. They're probably pretty focused, right? They are going into Fayetteville, so that's a they're focused. It's a tall task for anyone. Where is Arkansas's head right now?
Well, let me ask you this. I haven't kept up with it as bad as I should have. Did Arkansas lose any big pieces in that slugfest with A&M's? Anybody down? Anybody hurt?
I don't think so.
I have heard nothing.
Yeah,
I have read nothing.
Now it is worth noting though that Anaya Smith from Texas A&M is going to miss the rest of the season.
Okay, but he ain't playing in this game.
Right. But as far as injuries from that game are concerned, that was the only one that I remember.
I mean, when it comes to physicality, Arkansas can match anybody, and that includes us. If you can match us, you can match Bama.
Mobile quarterbacks have given Alabama trouble.
Yeah, and he's big. Alabama on the road. Last time Alabama went west, it got sideways real quick. I'm not saying this is Texas. I'm saying this team's better than Texas. I'm saying Arkansas in the upset.
Oh. Did he say it? He said it. You guys. Hey, listen. I'm going to give you the points because that's just a package deal. You saying you don't really need them, but I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to take them heartfully, and I'm going to pick Arkansas also to cover that 16 points. I think that Alabama might win. I'm pretty confident that Alabama is going to win the game. I will say this.
This is one we've had circled. Like, if it's going to happen to them in the regular season, this is one you got to look at.
A lot of people think Alabama is going to lose a game this year. A lot of people say that.
Well, why not now? Why not now?
It's got to be to somebody, right? So if they're going to lose one, here's an opportunity going into a hostile environment. I don't know if Arkansas can do it, but I will tell you this: when Arkansas played us last year, we crushed them. All right. A championship team should crush them. So if Alabama can't crush them, I question whether they are a championship team.
Do you remember wasn't Arkansas top 10 when we crushed them?
Yes, they were.
And they are ranked 20th now. And they're not inhuman. I mean, A&M, who is struggling. I don't have no faith in A&M, but they pulled it out. So
did they though? Did they pull it out, or did Arkansas just gave it away?
That game kind of feels like Auburn, Missouri to me. Like it's the same kind of deal. Like something happened. I don't really know what it was. A&M came out the winner. I'm gonna pick Arkansas to shock the world.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Good point. Next up, speaking of A&M, these jokers, these frauds.
Oh, man,
I'm gonna call them frauds. The Texas A&M frauds are going to go down to Mississippi, the Starkville, where Mike Leach, the pirate himself, the Bigfoot pirate, is favored by 3 points.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking at it now. Mississippi State is they are unranked. They are unranked.
Yeah. Texas
A&M is 17th. And yet, the spread is 3 to Mississippi State. Yeah, I'll take it. I would take the Pirate King. That is his name.
Are you taking the Dread Pirates Leach?
I'm taking the Mad Assassin. He's gonna look. Texas A&M is like hanging on the cliff by one arm, like, oh, somebody save me! And Leach gonna walk up with a scimitar. Slice that arm off, and that'll be the last we see of A&M. That's part of the reason why I'm also picking Arkansas, because if Arkansas can't get it done, I don't know if it's going to happen. At one time, we thought, A&M might be one. Nah. Mississippi State buries A&M alive on the beach for trying to steal their pirate gold.
I will say this. Analyzing this game, A&M's defense appears to be very, very good. Very good. They don't give up a lot, but they're young, and they're going to have to face one of the oddest offenses that they will see. Right. So if Mississippi State's offense gives people trouble, right? People that don't see it very often, it gives them trouble. All right, and these guys are new, so they haven't seen it very often. On the other side of the ball, Texas A&M just cannot move the ball. They can't. I made the joke that if somebody told me, that Texas A&M scored 21 points, I'd say they kicked 7 field goals. They can't do it. And Anaya Smith is out, so they're going to lean heavily on A-Chain. And I like that guy. I like him.
Mississippi State, you want to talk about Leach, you want to talk about offense, you want to talk about all that. They've got a little bit of a defense.
Their run defense particularly
is very
good.
Your teeth out. So yeah. I think Mississippi State's got this one. I'm taking them.
Robert says the A-Chain is X factor here. Maybe so. I'm going to take A&M with the points. Maybe A-Chain is the X factor. We'll see. All right. Oh, here we go. We were going to pick that LSU game.
Why?
And Matt yelled at me. Matt said, "Stick out your hand," and I stuck it out, and he slapped my wrist. He said, "Why aren't we talking about LSU? They're trash."
And who are they playing?
I honestly can't remember.
It's Auburn.
Oh, there you go.
So why? Why would you? I mean, that's weird to say it, but it's not disrespectful. Those two teams. I don't want to hear nothing about LSU or Auburn this year. This is their year to stand in the
next thing that I hear about Auburn.
Turn around, put your nose in the corner, and wait till next year. Both of you.
In fact, the next thing that either of us will hear about Auburn is them firing their coach.
Yeah. So,
because I'm going to tell you, after LSU gets done with them, and after Georgia does what they're going to do with them, Harson's
bye, Arizona State.
Go be a Sun Devil. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about this one though. NC State at Clemson. Wait a second here. NC State is ranked. They're number 10.
Yeah, man, it's top 10. This is top 10 matchup. That's why I picked this one, because this one. I mean, nationally,
this is number 5 versus number 10 in the AP poll.
NC State beat them last year. And when is the last time you saw Clemson favored by less than a touchdown in their own
at
stadium?
Home? Right? Yeah, it's odd. Clemson's been getting some real squeaky spreads this year, and they didn't cover against Wake Forest last year or last week. We picked Clemson to cover against Wake Forest. Wake covered. The Tennessee boys got that one right, believe it or not. Is this the upset? Is this where Clemson gets taken down?
Clemson will find a way.
Okay, give you Clemson.
Yep, they'll find a way.
Oh my gosh, can I take them? It's at home. I don't believe.
That's what's got me. That's what. If this were on the road, I'd pick whatever it was. I'd pick NC State. Clemson at home, they'll find a way. Ukulele he showed a little bit of life, even though that game was rough with Wake Forest. He improved. There was a modicum of improvement. Their defense is for real. That crowd's going to be live. This is a revenge game, if you ask me, from last year.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that whatever distractions have been around their program the past couple of weeks with Brian Brissy and the death of his sister and those sorts of things, I think their eyes are focused on the goal now. Yeah. NC State's coming into their house. It's a top 10 matchup. You have our attention, right? It's time to get it. I like the Tigers in this one. Look, solidarity, brother. I ain't picking them for you, brother. I just think it's the way it's going to go.
I just don't think NC State can beat them. Don't get it twisted, Tater.
I didn't say Clemson's good.
I just don't think NC State's better.
Right.
At their stadium. And
yeah.
What is the name of their stadium? Not Death Valley's in Baton Rouge. What is the name of Clemson State? The actual name.
Mikey, what's the name of Clemson Stadium?
You know what? The fact we don't even know, just move on to the next pick because that tells you all you need to know about Clemson.
He'll put it up here. He'll bring it up here. So the last game we're going to pick, Georgia, Missouri. Okay.
Yep.
How many points did Georgia have to lay last week? 44 and a half.
44 and a half.
Here we go. There it is. Clemson Memorial Stadium.
How creative.
Remember the Clemsons. Yeah. So remember the Taters. That's a new Disney film. Oh, they already made a Clemson Disney film, didn't they? They did make a Clemson Disney film. Haven't seen it yet. I wonder if it's any good. They're going to make a Stetson Bennett Disney film. You watch this. It's going to be called The Little Engine That Could Win a Heisman. Anyway, speaking of the little engine that could.
Scared? Are you scared to lay 28 points because Georgia only beat Kent State by 17?
I wasn't scared to lay the 44 last week. So I would, and if you told me we were playing Kent State again, I wouldn't be scared to lay it again this week. Yeah. I think Missouri is about to get drug around by their nostrils, dude. Yep. It's going to be very, very ugly.
Whatever it was that Kirby and Will Muschamp did when they got home that night is going to translate into a Georgia team that is back to form. They realize, like, okay, we can't play with our food. You're going to carry that number one ranking, much to my chagrin, but if you're going to carry it, people, you can't be scared anymore. You're the best in the world. What do we got to lose? They're going to bring everything they got every week. You've got to put your foot on their throat and close, and I think you're going to see that in Columbia.
Yep.
I'm taking Georgia.
Listen, they're playing in Columbia, not bad Columbia. That's it. We decided that South Carolina plays in bad Columbia.
Yes.
Does that mean Missouri plays in good Columbia? No, they just play in Columbia. There's no such thing as good Columbia.
Yeah, I'm taking the dogs. I'll lay all 28.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Hey, you got anything to say about this?
The petty factoid of the week. Damn, it wasn't really petty. I was gonna go with the Stetson Tebow thing, but it's not really petty. That's just kind of cool. Like, it's not in the world of petty. I do have the petty factoid of the week.
Okay.
It may be more like a question. Hold on a second here. Let me pull it up. When you do, if you're going to get petty with your factoid, you better make sure every single I is dotted and every single T is crossed. And I don't want to get nothing wrong. who is the how many? Well, hold on now. Computer's locked up. We may have to
Oh
chop
boy.
this
Oh
one up.
boy.
We have to chop this one up.
This is turning into an episode of the Very Orange live stream, man.
There's your petty factoid.
Here we go out on that.
Let me get you. No, I got it. Hold on. I just want to say 24. Make sure I got my numbers right. This one I had to dig for today because I couldn't believe it when I saw it, and I had to double check. I just want to touch on this fact. We'll chop this up, folks. Sorry for that delay, but I had to make sure I was correct because I didn't believe this when I saw it today. I just want your petty factoid of the week to be this. Stetson got high on the Heisman train, and then after this weekend, now he's low again, and everybody's just, fluffing up Bryce Young, this, that, and the other. I just want to point out that as it stands after 4 games, Staquavion Bennett IV has 225 more passing yards than your boy Bryce Young.
That is an interesting factoid. Petty,
and probably will change, but
we'll see.
If we're going to run crazy with somebody, the first thing you look at is pass yards. Stetson's got more.
I have a petty factoid that involves pass yards. Welcome to the top 10, Tennessee. Tennessee gave up 31.6% of AR-15's career passing yardage in a single game. And that man is in his 3rd year playing football. So I don't even know what to tell you. Catch y'all next time.